myself included, despite my criticisms in this video. I have formed more of a connection with the human characters in the newer games than in any of the older ones, and some of the stories left a real impression on me. And even though they're not my only option anymore, I've still formed bonds with my Pokemon. I feel quite strongly that we should not return to the lonely era of the past. So how can Game Freak fix this replayability problem without sacrificing the characters and stories that they've crafted? Well, a quick and easy solution is tutorial options. Like, ask if you're a newbie or a veteran. Cater the beginning of the game based on our answers. But more important, remove the walls of text and give us voice-acted cutscenes, I should say. Now, this is just my personal opinion. The writing and direction for most of the dubbed Pokemon projects that involve voice acting, I don't think it's great. I want to be clear, I think the voice actors, perfectly talented, they're great. I think they are being told to say clunky lines in clunky ways. But I'm more than happy to listen to voice acting that I don't personally love in order to improve the overall game experience. Voice acting can add to a character's personality. It can play during the core gameplay, kind of like how Kratos and friends chat during boat rides. And if the walls of text are instead voice-acted movies, then they are skippable. Not every character in the game needs to be fully voice-acted. Like in Breath of the Wild, if you can read everything they have to say within 2 or 3 clicks, then I don't think voice acting is necessary. But the strategy meetings, the pre-gym battle taunts, and all the villain monologues should be voice acted. It is 2026. Pokemon is 30 years old and has been on the Switch for over 7 years. Breath of the Wild was a Switch voice-acted game, and it is 7 years old. Like, oh my god! There are many aspects of modern Pokemon games that have lagged behind the rest of the industry, and this is one of those areas. Some would say talented voice actors create true cutscenes that we can skip, and let us enjoy replaying Pokemon games again. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see another one of my essay-style videos, check out my video on why Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the worst Pokemon games ever made in the mainline series, even including Red and Blue, which are massively outdated and unfortunate. Mega Evolution is back before Pokemon thanks to the upcoming release of Pokemon Legends CA, the first game to have Mega Evolution since Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in 2018. But while many are super hyped for its return, I actually haven't missed Mega Evolution as much as most. In this video, I'll discuss the problems I have with the gimmick and how Legends CA could solve them. And maybe already have. Let's start with a brief history of Mega Evolution and its experience with it to provide a wider context to my arguments. Mega Evolution was officially revealed in August of 2013, around 2 months before the release of X and Y, and several months after Mega Mewtwo was teased, but not named as a Mega Evolution. I distinctly recall being extremely hyped about this. It caught me completely off guard, since this was the first time any non-legendary or mythic Pokemon got new forms. Technically, Rotom got Summon, Rotom's not a legendary, but they really treated it like one in the early days. I was also specifically excited, which meant that my favorite Pokemon, Sceptile, was definitely going to get one too. And look, I even found this comment I left in the reveal trailer, full of wildly incorrect predictions. X and Y came out in October 2013, and during my first playthrough of Pokemon X, I loved Mega Evolution. I was so enraptured by the first 3D Pokemon game and my super awesome Mega Charizard X that I had no criticisms whatsoever. I was telling people these were the best Pokemon games ever made. And then, less than a year later, on Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were announced. And not long after that, So were Mega Sceptile and Mega Swampert. This was less than a year into my Pokemon YouTube success taking off with How Old is Ash Ketchum, so without a coherent YouTube strategy at the time, I made a quick news video with my reaction. After the games came out, I was ecstatic and played through them with this team, intentionally chosen such that all the throwback to Mega Pokemon. I'd simply swap out which ones I'd Mega depending on except for Bullet. I not only had to get right trading over a Dogstone from my X version, because normally you can't get a Dogstone if they beat Wally in the victory room, but also you can't get Mega Light actually if I'm in another episode. Annoying, but overall, when I first played through X and Omega Ruby, I had not a bone to pick. I was still a kid, basically, 18, 19, and I was very much still in the stage where I thought all new Pokemon games were completely perfect. That stage is over now. Look at me. I'm 30, and as time has gone on, I've developed criticisms for Mega Evolution, despite adoring it initially. The first one developed as I replayed the Genesis game over the years, and it's a criticism of its game. If we boil it down to Mega Evolution's not being there. Mega Evolution is blatantly cool. A fully evolved Pokemon surpassing its limits, it's just so exciting, and it makes the battles feel extremely epic. So in Gen 6, the generation that introduced it and put a huge emphasis on it, why do we barely get to see it? This criticism has two halves, and the first one is that NPC trainers don't use Megas enough. In X and Y, you get access to Mega Evolution right after getting your third gym badge. But then, for the rest of the main story, you will fight a total of only 3 Mega Evolutions. Venus Lucario, Lysander's Gyarados, and Dianthus Gardevoir. And really only the latter two of those count, since Marina's battle is forced as a Lucario versus Lucario battle. Boris is not much better. You get Mega Evolution at a later badge, but around the same team levels, in the 30s. But you will again only fight 3 Megas before the post-game. The team leader's Ace, Wally's Gallade, and Steven's Metagross. This is insane! These games guarantee you incredibly powerful Megas of your own. And that's not even including your Mega starter. When you don't have to face off against other Megas, so much of the game ends up being so easy that it's trivialized. I designed a team. I need your advice. I'm thinking about making a career change. Crime is fun, but it only sometimes absolutely no qualifications. All the time spent programming. Well, then you should try out Food.dev to sponsor this video. Food.dev languages like Python, JavaScript, Go, and more. And you'll be doing what you do on the job, writing code and building real products. However, it's unique unique aspects of it. Learning improves you experience, reward chests, and more. Food.dev makes the learning process fun, since you can achieve your goals if you're bored. I haven't written so much as a character of code in a decade and never that great at it, but I found the start of the Python course to be straightforward, entertaining, and educational. Leveling up and hitting streaks gave me the same kind of satisfaction I get when using those things in normal video games, but I was learning a valuable career useful skill to run. The whole thing is also designed to be self-paced, so it's great for businesses with existing responsibilities. Like you and your pride. Try out Food.dev's courses for free using the link below, and use my code MJTB to get 25% off your entire first year if you choose the annual plan. Amazing! Thanks, pal. Now I can afford a career that not only won't have to risk your jail time, but also might finally give me income. I understand that if you get Megas in the 30s, some team members may not be fully evolved. Brava is going to get curb stomped by a Mega Aggron despite having the type advantage. But once your team gets to the mid-40s and definitely 50s, there should be no more hand-holding. And for a bit, there is. You fight the evil team leader and their Mega. From that point on, all the major boss fights should have had Megas, and they don't. It's the main focus of these games. Where are the Megas? Compare this to the boss trainers in the generations that came later. Every Kahuna and Elite Four member can use Z moves. Every Galar gym leader, except Milo and Piers, not only uses Dynamax, but uses a signature Gigantamax form. And Milo ends up using one of those later in rematches, since he's normally fought too early to use a Flapple or Appleton initially. And then all the Paldea gym leaders in Elite Four use Terastallization. Now, of course, there is a big difference here. Z moves, Dynamax, and Terastallization can be used on any Pokemon, as opposed to Mega Evolutions being for specific species. But still, think about Galar. They designed specific Gigantamax forms to be the aces for the gym leaders. Why did they not do that with the Mega Evolutions in Gen 6? If I was redesigning the Gen 6 games, first in X and Y, Wolfric, your rival in the Victory Road, and the Elite Four all should have used the Megas that they do either in the anime or later in the post-game. Similarly, in Horus, Wallace and the Elite Four should have used Megas too, since thankfully Wally already does.
Wait, how did it take me this long to realize that Wallace and Wally have very similar names?
They're the same time. Elite Four actually have specific Megas that they don't rematch. Which is better than X and Y, where they never use Megas at any point. But it still frustrates me that they don't use them initially. As for Wallace, they definitely intended to make a Mega Milotic. They definitely created his gym battle and that Husky battle in the Delta episode, and they just didn't. If they ran out of time, couldn't find one that wasn't too similar to all the banner. In essence, I have 28 Megas available at some point or another within the entire series. With over 32 play modules on fraction of the game. But not only are they unplayable, some of the Megas. 4 of the Megas were starters, and you'll of course get 1 or play through.